Hello and welcome to my channel. This is the very first video that I'm posting on this brand new YouTube channel. And right off the bat, I know exactly what you're thinking. Is this really one of those videos where you see someone with a plain background, somewhat plain background, with no YouTube thumbnail at all, and someone's just gonna share with me his sob story about how life is unfair and that his life sucks and all that? I will say this up front, the title is somewhat clickbait because it's going to be more of a response to these genre of videos. I'm a 28-year-old loser, I'm a 35-year-old loser, single with no kids, living alone or whatever, and then it's usually these videos are someone just sharing their sob story about like how life isn't going exactly how they were expecting. So I will share my story as far as what prompted me to make this video. And then of course I'll let you decide whether or not you actually believe that about me or not. But I will say this up front, I don't actually think that about myself exactly. Although life isn't 100% where I want it to be yet, there are a lot of things that are going right for me that I do want to share. And I also want to talk about what this new channel is going to be all about. So this is the first video that I'm making right now. And the reason why I decided that I wanted to start with this type of video is because I felt that with this title specifically, it would help me attract the ideal audience that I'm looking for on this channel, right? So in my case, I am 20 years old. I'm a single guy living alone right now, and I believe that my best target demographic for this channel is going to be young men around that age, 20s to 30s, around there, maybe like late teens, that maybe feel like life isn't going exactly how they expected and maybe you need some sort of direction, right? So this channel is going to be me sharing my perspectives on things that are going on in the world right now and what I believe to be the best path for most people, at least in the US right now, that are trying to either make a living, start a family, whatever goal it is that you are looking to achieve in that type of aspect, right? So I do have a bunch of video topics that I will be recording for this channel. I have 10 video ideas that I have already just set in stone that I'm going to be going over. So I'm going to be covering things like why you must escape corporate America, find a way to make money online ASAP, why I stayed single for most of my 20s, living with parents versus moving out in your 20s, the pros and cons of both, and then things like social media isn't toxic if you're using it wrong. So these are going to be the topics that I'll be covering in this channel, and if you want to hear my perspectives on that, then you are free to subscribe to this channel if you want. But of course, I want to talk about my story and why I am making this video. So when I was 19 years old, I was living with my mom. I was living in my mom's basement. I had graduated from high school about a year prior. I was going to go to university to get some sort of career doing something with like computers or something. I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do, but very early on I realized that university wasn't going to give me the ROI that I was looking for. And what I found is that more people are going to university. They are ending up in 6 figures of debt, and it's even worse now than it was 10 years ago when I graduated. So I dropped out after 1 semester basically, because I'm like, I don't really see the point of this. And about 6 months after that, I got into something known as affiliate marketing or digital marketing, right? All that is where you are promoting products online for a commission. So you find a product that you like, that you resonate with, you get an affiliate link for that, you share it online. And so as soon as I discovered that whole concept, I just decided, okay, this is probably the safest way for me to create a full-time income and not be fully reliant on like a 9-to-5, because most jobs that existed in my area and just in general weren't really paying that much to live on your own comfortably. And that was what I found at that time. So I'm living with my parents in my mom's basement. And at that time I would just go to work. I was working as a bagger in a grocery store. I would come home and then I would just play video games. I didn't really have much of a social life at all. I never really had that many friends throughout school. I had a very small group of people that I would hang out with every now and then, but not to the point where I was like constantly going on dates. And in my case, I spend most of my life single pretty much. And I don't say that to complain, but that's just my backstory that I wanted to give right here, right? In my case, I had several family members and friends around my age that they were able to move out a lot sooner. They started dating. Some of them got married and started having kids. And in my case, I just stayed single for most of the time because I just decided, okay, cost of living is going to continue to rise through the roof, and I don't want to take on more liabilities that are just going to cost me money, right? So as a result, I stayed single for most of my 20s. I'm currently 28 years old right now. And I just decided I'm going to focus all of my energy on trying to make a living and be able to make money anywhere, right? So that was where I got into digital marketing around May of 2017. It has been over 9 years since that, almost a full decade. And where exactly am I now? So in my case, the first 3 years that I was trying to learn affiliate marketing, I didn't really make any money at all just because of the fact that I didn't really know what I was doing. I kept buying into all these courses and I kept dabbling in a bunch of different business models. And I found myself feeling confused throughout the first 3 years. After around March of 2020, I had my first kind of breakthrough online, and I made $700 in that month. So I thought, okay, this is like the start of, okay, I know I have a better idea on what I'm doing. And then from there, I started getting more sales coming in. Not too consistent, but every now and then I would get a sale coming in, right? So I started focusing heavily on things like content creation. And by the way, this isn't my only YouTube channel. I have like 2 other YouTube channels that are in the Make Money Online digital marketing space. And I've also been posting content on TikTok as well that I've also used to promote different offers as well. So that's how I've been focusing my energy when it comes to making money with affiliate marketing. And so I just started hammering down, focusing consistently on content creation. And throughout these years doing digital marketing, I definitely sacrificed a lot of time that I could have had as far as pursuing friendships, pursuing relationships, and I stayed single for most of that time. And it wasn't necessarily bad, for example, but I definitely missed the, I guess you could say, mark of potentially finding the right person, then maybe getting married and all that. Although from what I see a lot in the US is half of marriages end in divorce, and then the other 50% of that are still together. I think only 3% of that other 50% actually remain happy. For that reason, I just decided, okay, this is probably the best thing that I could really focus on, just making money, and then I could maybe just have the goal of maybe providing better support to my family, right? After about end of 2022, I moved out for the first time and I started living on my own. In my case, when I first moved out, I didn't exactly get my own place per se, but I was making a couple $1,000s per month online. I had quit my job working at a liquor store at the time. And because I didn't have steady income coming in from a job anymore, it's hard to get your own place in the US without steady income from a job coming in. And if you live in the US, then you probably know what I'm talking about. When you apply to get your own apartment, you got to verify that you make 3 times the rent, which is just insane. I never understood that at all. And then they want to see income coming in from a job. They don't trust doing an online business that much because it's seen as unsteady income basically. So even though I had some consistent income coming in and I felt confident that I could live on my own, I just decided that the best way for me to start living on my own was just start living in Airbnbs basically. And I like the concept because you can just move into a place that's already furnished and then just very quick and easy, right? You just pay the amount. It's doing a hotel basically, but it's kind of your own place and you're not near people, right? So I quit my job in December 2022, just a few days before Christmas. And throughout that next year, all the way up until October of 2023, I was pretty much living on my own and doing digital marketing full time, and it was pretty peaceful, right? This phase, I liked it because I had peace and quiet. I didn't have all these distractions, and I was able to focus heavily on the business. I had about $2,000 to $3,000 a month coming in, so I wasn't balling by any means. I was still penny pinching a lot of the times and trying to live below my means, but I was focusing very heavily on, okay, what can I do to continue growing my income, right? So at this time, I had a lot of TikTok accounts that were going very viral. I was getting a ton of traffic, I was getting a ton of sales, And then toward the end of that year, I started to have a bunch of my accounts banned and taken down because their rules started to get strict, and then I wasn't getting as many sales that much. And then right at the end of that year, my rent started going up. So like at one point it was like $1,200 a month, and then for whatever reason, like the next month it was $1,500, and then it went up to $2,000 a month. And I'm like, I can't keep paying this and live comfortably. So I made the very tough decision of moving back home with my parents temporarily. And this was by far the most humbling experience of my life, because here I felt like I failed pretty much. I'm like, here I put in all these years just focusing on this thing, trying to basically break free of the matrix and all that. And then I ended up moving back home for a bit, for a couple months. And then I just made the tough decision of going back to a 9-to-5 job. So that was when I started applying it to a couple different places, and I got a position stocking shelves, a third shift position stocking shelves in a grocery store. I was making about 17 to 18 bucks an hour. So with the cost of living just rising rapidly, it's not enough for you to live comfortably. And luckily, shortly after that, I was able to start living on my own again. And then I started getting back into digital marketing. So at this point, it's about 2024, early that year. Actually, I started living on my own late 2023, actually. And I moved into a different place a few months after, which is this current place that I'm in right now, that I've been at for about 2 years. And then from there, I've pretty much just been focusing heavily on the online business. I guess in my case, the thing that is going is I guess I'm living on my own again, which is really nice. I'm not exactly, again, I'm not making 10K a month or 20K or anything like that, but I am making I have some residuals coming in, which is really nice. I live on my own, which is really great. And in my case, I have a lot of reasons where I can maybe look at my current situation and think, man, nothing's really going well for me. Business isn't booming like I thought it would be at this time. I'm not making the exact income that I thought I would be 10 years ago. However, the way that I choose to look at it is every single thing that you do, every single failure that happens in your life is just data, right? And you can figure out, let's say, 100 different ways of how not to do something. But then once you figure out that 101st method that actually does work and you start doing very well, then could be the thing that makes all the difference, right? And so I know a lot of people that are around my age right now who, again, they go to work 40 hours a week, they come home, they're very burnt out at the end of the day, usually just want to relax. And most people that I know of, they just either focus on playing video games or they're just hanging out with friends. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. I do enjoy playing games every now and then. However, I believe that it is in your best interest to use your free time wisely if you want to have more freedom and flexibility in your life. And so the one thing that I keep noticing with a lot of people that are around my age and why a lot of people are depressed is because more and more people are working more hours than ever. Again, 40 hours a week at a job, and even that's barely enough to live on your own. And then a lot of people on top of that are doing an extra 20 hours a week of Uber or DoorDash or Instacart or one of these other gig jobs, and it's still barely enough to live comfortably on your own, right? And either you end up living with your parents way past the age of 30, or you have to live with a bunch of different roommates, or if you do manage to find your soulmate and you move in together, then both the guy and the gal, have to live in this dual income dynamic, and then it's still barely enough to cover all the bills. And so one other thing that I see with couples a lot is this whole concept of like dual income, no kids, where they're just working. They might live comfortably on their own more compared to a single person living on their own. However, the cost of starting a family is like higher than it's ever been, right? So in my case, focusing very heavily on just making money, although I'm not 100% where I want to be in that realm, and I could be making a lot more right now had I done certain things differently. The number one conclusion that I've come to is that you have to use your free time wisely, and having that location freedom is what will allow you to be able to create more flexibility in your life. And that's why I believe that right now, with jobs being replaced by AI and with cost of living going up, I believe that is the safest approach for most young guys today, right? And then also, if you have location freedom, then you could choose to live anywhere that you want. It doesn't have to, you could either live off grid, which I know that isn't for everyone, or I know one thing that is becoming very common for a lot of young people is the interest of moving abroad and all that. And so that is one thing that I'm definitely looking into as well. But in my case, I have achieved some things. I received an affiliate award. This was after earning my first $10,000 in one of the programs that I promote. It allows me to earn residual income, which is really nice. And I met the owners of this company as well, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, I've hit milestones, but I'm still working towards achieving more, right? And I definitely want to focus on making more money because, for one, marriage is super risky in the US, so I don't really have plans of starting a family anytime soon. And the one thing that I would say that I'm missing most of all in my life right now is just community, people that I can hang out with regularly. A lot of that is my fault because I stayed inside for most of the time. I was like a homebody for most of the time. But also, even when it comes to family, although I do come from a very large family, we don't get to see each other that often because all of us are just working all the time, right? So I work 40 hours a week stocking shelves, and then on the side of my 9 to 5, I am doing things like posting content and doing things to grow my online business, doing things to make money on the side. And my number one goal that I have right now is just, I want to spend more time with family, have more free time to spend time with family, and then also provide better support for my mom as well, right? So she was working at a grocery store as well, and then she ended up injuring herself to the point where she wasn't able to do manual labor as much. And yeah, now it's like she's having a hard time getting by as well. So that is, I guess, my situation right there. Do I actually think that I'm a loser because of it? I could say that. However, I choose to look at it more from the sense of I'm taking action every single day to make progress, and that is what I encourage every single one of you to do as well. So there's a lot of channels out there that are focusing very heavily on the whole doom and gloom thing, and the problem that I have with most of those channels is they just attract an audience people that I guess it's comforting, but there's never any attempt at providing some sort of solution. So in my case, the number one solution that I want to attempt to get across in this video is, even if you feel like things aren't fully going your way, the one thing that you always have control over is you could always learn a skill. You could always invest your energy into learning something. And I think for the average person watching this video right now, I believe the average safest option to create stability is, of course, to start some sort of online business or learn a skill that you could do online from anywhere in the world, because that doesn't require you to invest. It doesn't require you to go 6 figures in debt like going to university does. And you could also make a lot more money doing an online business like digital marketing or e-commerce or Amazon FBA compared to like most careers that you go into nowadays. And having the location freedom is another benefit, because if it is too expensive where you live and you don't see yourself starting a family, then there is always that possibility of moving elsewhere where the cost of living is a lot lower and maybe the crime is a lot lower as well. And that is how I like to look at it. So you might not really have much of a direction right now, but if you focus on something like that, maybe you can focus your energy on providing better support for your family. If you have people that are close to you that you want to spend more time with, or you want to just be that person there for them that is there to provide that extra layer of support, then I think that is a really great thing to focus on. So that is my first video that I want to post on this channel. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you made it to the end of this video, I want to say I really appreciate you, because again, this is my first video here, and I don't know how many people are going to see this video, but I'm going to do more videos like this covering different topics as far as navigating current events, navigating how life is structured right now in the United States. I can't really speak for people living in other countries, but I know a lot of young guys in the United States are struggling right now. So that is why I wanted to start creating videos just like this. So That being said, I hope you found this video valuable. Drop a comment below, give us a thumbs up, and take care, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video coming very soon.